Welcome to the Business and Beards Podcast, spotlighting Miami County businesses. You bring your business and we'll provide the beards. Welcome to the Business and Beards Podcast. Today, Buddy and I are joined by Dr. Jake Polzin with Louisburg Chiropractic. How are we doing, Jake?
I'm great, thank you.
That's awesome. And my wife and I feel better every time we come here, but now that we kind of got on a regimen, my wife skipped last week, obviously, come back this morning. She couldn't quit talking about how well she felt. So,
I love it.
So it's been an awesome operation. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on here. You're fairly new in this location compared to other places. So tell us a little bit about how you got started and then, kind of the transition to the new location.
Sure. So I've been a chiropractor since 2015. Actually started up at Overland Park. I did that for about 4 to 5 years before some family situations kind of changed, and we were looking for a fresh start, like many of us who find our way in Louisburg, and absolutely love transitioning down here. We're actually super blessed to take over for Dr. Damon Dennis, who had the office before us, actually just next door, over 11 South Broadway, and he was there for about 28 years. So kind of been an anchor in the community for a really long time. If you say the name Dr. D, everybody knows who you're talking about. So we were blessed to take over there, and a little over 2 years ago, actually took over the old Herald building here at 15 South Broadway, just next door, and did this whole big renovation that you see going on inside of the office, and been able to transition over here. Gave us a lot more space to operate, make things a little bit more efficient, and we're not just bumping into each other in the hallway. So it's been a blessing to be over here as well. It's a really nice transition.
Very cool, very cool. If you don't mind, how is something like a process like that taking over from a person that's been a legacy and then kind of trying to make sure you fill those shoes in terms of also making it your own business with that? Could you talk more about that?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that Dr. D and I talked about before we even transitioned in here. Because when you're taking over something like that, there is concern on all parts. The previous business owner wants to make sure that his business is well taken care of, his patients are well looked after, as well as the patients. That, in a business like chiropractic, it's a lot of trust when you lay hands on people. That's not something that we take lightly in our office at all. So we actually advised a pretty cool plan that I think made for a really easy transition that we used with onboarding a lot of our associates. Where we came in, we got to know the patients while both doctors are there treating, get comfortable with them, kind of see how they're used to being adjusted, because Mr. Buddy gets adjusted a little bit different than the next person that walks in the room. And so that's important to make sure that those patients know that baton is being passed properly. And then once you get to know them and once you kind of are in your own flow and routine, the thing I tell people all the time, the one wish I had as a chiropractor is that I could feel what my adjustment feels like. I do not know what mine feels like. I've been adjusted by Dr. Damon. I've been adjusted by hundreds of other chiropractors. My job is to just make sure that what the patient needs is what the patient gets. So that is how we fine-tune that line. And just the more we get to know their spine through adjustments, the easier that process becomes.
Now, when we first started, me and my wife did, we obviously started with an x-ray. Is that a pretty normal practice for a chiropractor, or is that something you kind of started? Or tell me a little bit about why you start that way and if that's normal.
Yeah, so it is in my world, and it is with a lot of chiropractors that I associate with, because the whole premise behind the x-ray is that there are so many things that we just can't see. I mean, I use the example of, we all did a scoliosis screening when we were in about 5th, 6th grade. We bent over, we touched our toes. This school nurse, who unfortunately did not own a pair of x-ray glasses, said we either did or did not have scoliosis. The problem is she just can't see. Yeah. So for us, we're just not into guessing with your health. We want to look beyond what we can actually feel on the surface level and actually see exactly what's going on, because the joints and the bones actually give us a lot of really cool indicators that, hey, your body's under stress in this area. This ties back to something else that's going on, and that allows us to really make a customized plan to what your body is struggling with. Okay?
So with the x-rays and then adjustments, what else do you guys do? Because I've heard a lot, the fear with a lot of chiropractors is that you guys make an adjustment and pop and crack and everything else.
Sure.
I know better from my experiences with a lot of chiropractors. Would you talk a little bit more about how you guys are different from others?
Sure. Well, I think it all goes back to the x-rays. I mean, The x-rays allow us to be very, very specific, and the difference between a pop and a crack versus an adjustment. If I were to take my fingers, we can all make sounds. That's cracking, that's popping. What chiropractic is actually able to get in there specific to where your body is under stress and removing one specific segment and one or two specific lines of drive that allows you to actually get the motion that you're looking for. And oftentimes we've had people that will report, hey, my teenage son, he likes to twist and turn at school. Well, The reason why he was doing that is because his body felt a lot of tension and stress in that area. When you actually get it moving the appropriate way, all of a sudden the need to want to do that goes away because your body is allowing that inflammation and stress to come out of the body.
So one of my biggest fears of going to the chiropractor the first time, I'm 29 years old, never been before, you came and did a talk in my office, was that, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, if I know about it, then it's a concern. And how do you maybe advise for people to kind of get over that fear of sometimes the unknown is better than knowing?
Sure. And I think we've all been probably guilty of that. Like, nobody needs to tell people that smoke that we all pretty much understand that smoking is bad. Nobody needs to tell us that we should probably not go through the drive-through 7 times a week, or that maybe we should exercise. Those things are really, really important. And from a chiropractic standpoint, it's just allowing people the opportunity to realize that chiropractic can be that missing piece for people, because if you're trying to work out and you're frustrated that, you're not getting the results that you want, or you're trying to eat better, but you're not quite seeing what you were looking for, is that when chiropractic comes in and ties that whole nervous system back to where your body is stressed out at, what it does is it allows everything to work more efficiently. So now all of a sudden, all the other really cool, healthy things that you knew that you should be doing, that's the missing link to then plug it all together to allow the system as a whole to work more efficiently. So, when you can be proactive with your health, that's the best way. Like, you're going to have to deal with it at some time. Like, why not just listen when it whispers instead of waiting until it screams? I never want anybody to crawl into the chiropractor's office because you have to be here. Like, that is my least favorite time to meet somebody, for me and for you, because now you're in a bad place.
Now, if somebody comes in because they do have to, is your process always still the same? Take an X-ray, then get them on a table and figure out kind of how to relieve what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how often do you see that in Louisburg? Like, how often are you seeing patients, or whatever, patients, because, sometimes we're somewhere. How often are you seeing patients because they maybe let that go too long?
Sure. I would say, when we kind of first started, there was a lot more triage happening. A lot of people, in the blue-collar community, we work really hard for a living. We're out, we're active. Not only are we doing the stuff that we do for work, but then we go home and we work on all these other fun projects. So there have been a tradition of people that would come in and we're triaging it, right? Like, you are in acute pain. We have got something we've really got to put the fire out on. And through a process of education over the last 5 years, we've gotten people to really start to look at it differently. Once we've got the fire put out, wouldn't it just be easier to keep it out? Well, let's just maintain that thing. That's called brushing and flossing your teeth. Let's not wait till we have cavities. And then we're in here and we're spending a lot more time, effort, and resources to try to fix something that you just left us wrong.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes out of education, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you grow up in a household that's really just trying to survive and ignore every issue until it becomes a problem because you're trying to get to the next step. I think education is key. That preventative care is going to be a lot cheaper than the long-term issues. So
and you don't have to suffer either. Like, why do you want to come in and be all beat up? Like, that's not fun. It's really not. Like, you're the one living inside of that body.
Correct.
It's not fun at all.
And you only get one.
That's right. You get one.
So with the education part, you talked about trying to get out in front of the community and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things you're doing that is with your lunch and learn that you brought up for small business.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're wanting to, is it going great right now? Is it a little early stages? What did you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's definitely in the earlier stages. We've done one of the bodies, we've done several other talks and other local businesses in the community, but we are always open to come out and just speak to people with us one-on-one or in a group, because sometimes that's just it. We're just so busy being busy, and we're so just preoccupied with all the other things that take our time in life that it's a cool opportunity to sit in a little bit more of an intimate situation that's not 35 people at a chamber event, and sit down and actually get your questions answered, have some lunch, learn some cool things that you didn't know, and it provides, just a great opportunity to open up that dialogue.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and then obviously my daughter sat in it. She's 3.5, and even though she didn't understand what you were saying, you talked in a way that made her listen. Like, that's the most well-behaved I've seen anybody talking ever. So it was a good experience for everybody. Honestly, it kind of, it allowed Sam and I to come in and have a head start of what we were expecting. Because I think also coming into something where you're like, it's new, it's scary, somebody's going to be touching me.
Yeah.
If you don't have any precursor to come in before that, it's really hard to pull that trigger. But I think your presentation allowed us to kind of ease our hearts, and so our blood pressure didn't skyrocket when we came in. So,
absolutely.
That removes barriers. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
So what have we missed so far on terms of community impact, Dr. J? Because I know you guys do awful lot of stuff. I know you're part of, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it the cider mill run?
So we're going to help out and volunteer this year with Cider Run. This will be our first year at it. So thank you for putting me on the spot. Yes, we are looking forward to helping with Cider Run.
Congrats, that's great.
Thank you.
And you guys organize Halloween on Broadway.
We do Halloween on Broadway is the big event.
Where did you start with that event, and kind of how did it come to fruition? You know, because obviously it seems like it's getting more and more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really one of those like weather dependent. Halloween always tends to be like, it's either really nice and 60 and sunny, or sometimes it's 40 and sideways rain. So it's just kind of one of those months that we just play it by ear. But it has been a greatly successful event that the community looks forward to. It was actually something that was started before I was here, and we were just honored to pick up the baton and keep it going. So, I mean, on average, we have about 1,500 kids that come through on Broadway. We shut the whole street down, and it's just a great community event for other people to get out, get in front of people, and just talk about your business and hand out some cool candies. The kids look forward to it. You get to see them all dressed up, and they come around and take pictures. It's just a great event.
Now, brag a little bit on your team, because I haven't had an instance where I came in and somebody didn't welcome me by name, you know, smile, laugh, tell a joke, whatever. So everybody seems so cheerful in here. So tell me a little bit about your operation as far as who manages what and why they're important.
Yeah, so we've got our front desk staff up front. They kind of some different faces that roll in and out. We've got Miss L runs the front. Miss Amy is also in helping. And then we've got Miss Jennifer, who's been with the practice for a little over 30 years now. She's the old guard. She's been here for quite some time. And then we've got the dynamic duo of Dr. Tyler and Dr. Tyler in here helping and serving the community as well. And that is just a cultural thing for us. We talk about it all the time. You know, we want to treat people how we want to be treated. And if you expect to come in, the whole thing, from the time we answer the phone to how we greet people, knowing their names is important, so that they feel well taken care of. If this is a place of healing, then it has to be a place of healing. I mean, all the way down to the music we play here. Sometimes we're rocking out to classes for rock. We're keeping the vibe high on Fridays. This morning was 90s country. Sometimes it's a little Christian music. It's the vibe of the day, and we want everybody to be upbeat and smiling, because smiling and laughing is part of the healing process. If we can't create that environment, then there we are.
Well, and not only that's common sense. So a lot of people think it is. It just happens. You know, people are just happy you hired the right people. That's just not, in my opinion or experience, true. So how did you kind of cultivate that? Or do you have a set training program that everybody goes through? It seems like you don't have a lot of overturn. So obviously you're doing something.
I mean, I've always been told to hire good people. The rest of it is trainable. Like, you can't make a person a good person, but you can train good people to do pretty much a lot of things. And so that is just something that I've always just kind of stuck to. And it also helps that, you know, we just reiterate that stuff. We are constantly checking in with each other. We do a staff huddle 15 minutes before we start shift. We, you know, kind of game plan the day, how things are going to flow, and then the doors open, and then we kind of ad lib, because things are always going to happen during the shift. And then we decompress post shift, and we say, okay, this worked well, this did not. What do we need to do better? Because we're constantly just checking in to make sure that systems are working right, people are well taken care of, and that we're just constantly keeping that at the forefront, striving for that 5-star experience.
Not letting something small get to something big.
Absolutely.
Overall,
we're proactive with our approach.
Just
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The last thing I wanted to really talk about is you have a very unique schedule, and it works well for you. I would be curious if it would work well for other businesses, and I think our audiences would appreciate it. So talk about how you opened up versus how you transitioned, and maybe what were the benefits of transitioning more of a limited schedule, but still being widely available for your clients.
Yeah, and there's a lot of subtle nuance in everything that you just asked me there, and that is something that we have fine-tuned and tweaked a lot over the last 5 years. I would tell you that my hours when I started probably looked very similar to a lot of other chiropractors, or even, you know, a dental or an eye doctor. You know, that typical kind of 9 to noon, kind of 3 to 6 type of hours. And that's not what the community was used to. I mean, they were used to coming in here at 7 a.m. We got to get everybody out to work beforehand. So that has been a really cool transition. And as far as the rest of the schedule, like taking, you know, a 3-hour gap in the middle of the day, really what that is more for than anything is so that my staff, myself, can live the lifestyle that we are promoting to the community. If we are just grinding and it is 6 hours and a 30-minute lunch and my team doesn't have a chance to go to the bathroom or eat a snack or heaven forbid, sit down and take lunch and just decompress and ready for the day, then it makes it really hard to then tell people, because now we're incongruent and not authentic on, these are some really cool other lifestyle things that maybe you should think about. So we are always just trying to lead from the forefront. You'll see us at Louisburg Athletic Center. We're over there all the time. Me and the docs are working out 3-4 days a week. We're out on the trails. We're walking at Louis Young Park. And we're doing all the things in the same way that we just want to do it.
And you have not seen, I would imagine, a loss of revenue because of the transition, right? That break and the extended time and to give back to your team the way they give to you. I'm guessing, if anything, you've probably seen things be more efficient and generate a higher income.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because then when you're here, you're rested, you're recharged, because now you're in front of patients. I mean, it's something that maybe we wouldn't think about all the time, but people come in and have all kinds of conversations with us. And like an honest example of that would be, people come in and they tell us about things that are going on in their family, or someone's so struggling with a health issue, and then you got to turn around and the next person that comes in is Mr. Buddy that's smiling at me, and we're just high-fiving and having a good day. So you have to be able to really quickly flip that switch. And so to be able to emotionally have that reservoir, you cannot pour from an empty cup as a healer. And so it is really important for me to take that time to rest and recharge. No different than taking a vacation. You just got to. You've got to recharge those batteries so that when you are at work, you're showing up 100% full blast, ready to love and serve them. So
yeah, and I love that philosophy. I think, as we try to transition, in my office, the things we've done, we tried to, close for lunch and just have a reset. Now, we don't have as extreme, schedule as you guys yet, but I think that that's an important piece, and things like gym memberships and time with your family and time to eat lunch and not have to rush, because eating fast is not an answer for your health either. So if you have to go to the drive-thru in 15 minutes and get the quickest thing and start it down, none of those things prevent health. The healthier your team is, the better they're going to serve your business. So I think that's awesome. And I think you are an innovator in Louisburg, as we start to kind of open the eyes. Hopefully this will bring some awareness to working more is not always accomplished, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Just working, smarter, not necessarily harder.
Yeah.
I would recommend any business that gets out, just do appreciate that. You would be amazed at the amount of fires that you could put out being proactive in your business. No different than being proactive in your health, just by getting your team together and saying, what is or isn't working in the system that you work in. Like as the doctor, I see just different systems than my insurance lawyer or than my front desk has to deal with. So being able to just have a moment to get feedback and then to be able to actively work on it together allows us to really not step on landmines during the middle of the shift. And then if we do, let's take it as a learning opportunity. Let's come back together and say, how do we fix it? So that the next time, we can avoid that.
And everyone in Louisburg benefits because of it, because then every person who comes through here gets the best of you guys. So I think that's awesome. And really, that was kind of my biggest thing that I've seen since here is I've not walked in here and had that experience. So
I love that.
And you can't say that a lot. So that's awesome.
Perfect. So some of this is too, Dr. Jacobs, that we're looking forward to maybe a few more times this year to have you on to talk a little more in depth on the chiropractic work that you guys give, because you have a lot to offer. And it's just that education side, I think, will bring a huge benefit to our listeners as well. And just looking forward to that. But we'll definitely have you on here in the next few months with something like that to talk more in detail. What did we miss for this? I know we got a lot to talk about still, but
there is an opportunity that we are starting. We kind of talked about it a little bit at Chamber. Walk with the dogs. So we're going to start that here really soon in the next few weeks, where we're going to meet out at the lake and we're just going to walk. Like I'm already, waving at people from the community. Some of them are patients, some of them we know from Chamber and Rotary and different things like that. And again, just another opportunity where people can come together. We're doing the same things. We're being active with their health. We're getting out, we're being active, getting some vitamin D in our skin, and gives people an opportunity to ask those questions that maybe we wouldn't have an opportunity to do otherwise.
How often are you going to do that?
So we're going to start doing that weekly. We're shooting for like a Thursday, and we're going to start doing those as long as weather permits. We're already out there doing it, so we might as well invite people to come and join and just be another place where they can connect.
And is that noon to 1 or what?
So we're ironing all that out.
Oh,
we're trying to get all those details cleared up.
Stay tuned. Follow you on your Facebook page.
That's right. We're going to put it on Facebook. It'll be out on Instagram. We'll get it out to the Chamber and Rotary. That way everybody can start to see. And we would love to have people just come out and walk. 20, 30 minutes. Let's get some sun on our skin and let's move our bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Jake, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Let's call it. Everybody keep growing.